Not really sure why we're making a sequel to this, but, you know, stranger things have happened, I guess. I'm John Stark. Click that subscribe button if you want more of this beautiful face in your YouTube feed. And this is a 40 for 40, because this face is also turning 40, so I'm sharing 40 of my favorite films that also have audio description somewhere on the web, on a streaming service, somewhere that you can access it. Today we're talking about Gladiator, the pretty kick-ass 2000 Best Picture. Russell Crowe, Joaquin Phoenix, Connie Nielsen, directed by Ridley Scott. This film this film kicked my ass in 2000. I feel like I wasn't ready for it to be as good as it actually was. So, of course, it immediately became one of my early DVD purchases, and it's been in my collection ever since. I still have the original DVD over there. I didn't even upgrade it to Blu-ray. I was just weird about that, upgrading something to Blu-ray after. It's like, I already have it, but I have it. I know it could look better, but what do I do with the old one? Like, what do I do with this thing that I already have? Anyway, yeah, I've seen this a couple times. I don't know that it's as many as some of my other 40 for 40s, because let's be honest, it's a long movie, and sometimes when you need a comfort film, you just need something that slides into like the perfect amount of time, and you don't always have time for an almost 3-hour epic. You just, it would be nice if I had that time all the time, but I don't always. But this is on Paramount Plus, and it has audio description. It has cheerful audio description, would be the way that I would put it. This guy's way happier than I was expecting any narrator to be. It's also a voice I'm somewhat unfamiliar with, and unfortunately Paramount Plus kicks me out within like the first 5 seconds of credits generally. So I have no idea who narrated it, and I enjoyed taking this trip again. I'm not really sure when the last time was that I saw Gladiator, but I do have a lot of visual imagery. It's funny because the movie started and I was like, all right, where's my decapitated horseman? Where's he at? Like, I was so ready for it. It's like the one thing that you remember, because it's like it sets the tone of the film. It's like you don't really know what you're in for, until all of a sudden there's just like a decapitated man riding on horseback, and you're like, so this is the kind of film that this will be. Okay, let's do it. And from that point on, Gladiator is pretty much relentlessly violent, and it just has a great plot. And it features so many people who are no longer with us. Obviously, Oliver Reed, who died during production, and this is one of the earliest instances where they had to sort of CGI together his face for his final scene, using footage that had already been shot of him. I heard he was quite drunk on set too. That's one of the long-standing Gladiator rumors, was that Oliver Reed he enjoyed a good drink throughout the day, and he's terrific in this. I mean, if you're gonna go out on a final performance, make it that performance. He's very good in this, and Derek Jacobi. It's one of the two. I think it's Jacobi. I think it's Derek Jacobi. So I'm gonna go with that. He's in here, and this was sort of a reintroduction to him, because I had seen him in Hamlet, and when, of course, at some point in school, when you start watching filmed productions of Hamlet, and I was kind of like, in Gladiator, I was like, I've seen that guy before. I remember that. This is before like everybody immediately had that desire to run home and check IMDb, because it wasn't like on your phone. So, like, you had to remember to check out IMDb. I was like, who is that? I've seen him before. I know who that guy is. And of course, now he's been in a bunch of things. He did that TV series with Ian McKellen, and among other things. And Richard Harris, who got to be Dumbledore twice, so that was fun. And he was just, I mean, he's great. He's great here. As a man reflecting upon his legacy and what he wants to leave behind, and a man who is far too trusting of being alone in the room with his son, Commodus, played by Joaquin Phoenix, who plays this role really well. We've come to know Joaquin since this film as a very wide-ranging actor, and I don't think many people, considering the roles Joaquin has tackled since this, would put this in like his top 5. I think Joaquin Phoenix fans have seen him really just throw himself into so many roles, including, from what I understand, Beau is Afraid. Just absolutely, he's very committed to the process. But there's something so perfect about his Commodus here, and how much of a sniveling asshole he is in this film. It's I can't really imagine anybody else in this role. It's I wouldn't want anybody else in this role, and he's so great at talking down to people and feeling like his superiority complex is just pervasive throughout like the entire, like in every scene. He's menacing without ever having the physicality for it. So it's a great role for him. Connie Nielsen is she's fine. It's a role that she just it just doesn't really give her a whole lot to do. Ridley Scott, it's funny because she's like clear, obviously the female lead. There isn't even a female role in this entire film that's remotely close to the size of her role. But she just kind of stands there a lot, and she reacts emotionally to things, but she doesn't really get any great speeches or anything like that. And of course, Djimon Hounsou. We don't. This is, when we put Djimon in everything, I kind of wonder if Djimon ever just like, when his agent calls and he's like, Djimon, I got a role for you. If he's like, is this slave? No. Am I playing African? Am I playing the same role that Hollywood keeps fucking casting me in every single role? It either requires him to be from Africa, like he can't get rid of that accent, or he's playing a slave. Poor guy has probably played more roles he's never wanted to play his entire life. He just can't play. I want to see him like play a disgruntled New York City police officer. Like, where's that movie? I want to see Djimon Hounsou and Al Pacino in Heat. Like, I want to see, well, where did that movie go? Yeah, he's either like an immigrant or he is, I guess, the wizard in Shazam is stretching him as an actor. I don't know. Like, well, you're not really from anywhere. You're just there. Cool. Anyway, so he's a fantastic right-hand man for Russell Crowe's Maximus, who I saved sort of for last. I mean, I don't. Do I need to talk about the kid? I mean, do I need to talk about the kid from Unbreakable? Really? I don't need to acknowledge him, right? We can move on. It's not like his long storied acting career. I don't. Anyway, Russell Crowe is as Maximus. I mean, I feel like everybody at some point has said, "Is there no one else?" And you're not even really sure why you're saying it. You just have seen somebody else say it. You're like, is there no one else? And it's, yeah, well, this is where that came from. Um, and I don't know, it's just such an iconic role. I can't imagine doing a Gladiator sequel. But then again, I feel like everybody thought that with Mad Max Fury Road, especially considering Mel Gibson wasn't coming back and it was Tom Hardy, and people were like, do we need this? And then it was just like, okay, well, I guess George Miller just knew what he was doing, and we do need this. And Mad Max Fury Road was great. So maybe that'll happen. Ridley Scott is one of the most inconsistent directors we have. So I can't necessarily say that it's going to be amazing. I liked The Last Duel, but I don't always like all of his films. Could be a little bit of a toss-up. But I would not want to follow in Russell Crowe's iconic shoes. This is a film that made Russell Crowe. His career continues to thrive today, I think, because of the goodwill from Gladiator. Because he's had quite a few flops throughout his career, and phones being thrown, and he's still getting lead roles. So I think a lot of that has to do with the goodwill from Gladiator. It's a very popular movie. It's sort of like Braveheart. People don't like Mel Gibson, but you'll find a lot of people who still like Braveheart. You know, even the Mel Gibson people who are like, I don't like Mel Gibson, I love Braveheart. Freedom! Like, it's just... So, yeah, I guess there's something about these action movies where we use swords and chop people up that really just get men excited and get out there and forge and hunt. And love to slice with those swords. And of course nobody would ever do this in real life. Most people would not want to enter that. I would not want to fight Russell Crowe in this circumstance. I'd be like, no. And then with Add the Tigers and stuff, and nope. So yeah, this is a nice walk down memory lane. I still love Gladiator as much as I did the first time I saw it. This is a film that has not ever wavered for me. It doesn't ever get old. It has so many great scenes and dialogue and acting and moments, and it all comes together beautifully. The runtime, it's only noticeable because I think we live such in a sort of a fast-paced world where our entertainment keeps getting shortened more and more and more into like TikTok videos, that anytime you're asked to watch anything over 2 hours, it's hard for you to not feel it. But I felt it sort of in the beginning. I didn't realize how long the opening was because it had been so long since I'd seen Gladiator. Not that I feel like that there was anything I would take away from the opening, but the whole beginning battle with Richard Harris and him passing, Marcus Aurelius passing the buck along, and the whole just precursor to everything. Actually takes a lot longer than I thought. I kind of had thought that was like a 10 to 15 minute sequence, and it's not. I don't know why my brain had shrunk those scenes down to a very short period of time, but it was definitely longer than that. So it's a great film. I hope you watch it if you haven't seen it already. The audio description on this actually does a really lovely job. There were things about it that it had pointed out that I didn't even remember. Really, really interesting choices of things to point out. I love the purple cloaks that they're wearing. I've forgotten what color they were. I don't even know that it was really that important to me to know the color of the cloaks, but purple is often seen as a sign of royalty because it was the hardest to achieve color. So it makes sense that there would be purple, and it's like an identity thing of letting us know, hey, these people are more important than everybody else. So I get that. I get why it was there. There's a there's the scene where Russell Crowe is like kissing his wife's horribly burned corpse, her feet, and there's reference to like the mucus that's like on his face, and I feel like that's a really specific addition to the description. So the film does get really descriptive when it wants. If I had to say one thing about what it doesn't, what I feel like it doesn't describe, is it doesn't really describe the set. And for a film that's set in the time period that, which it is, this is kind of a visually stunning film for that. It didn't really put me in that world. I wouldn't really have gotten the feeling that I was in Rome, you know, from that. But as far as what the characters look like and what they're doing, the audio description is fantastic. But if you're wondering what Rome looks like and what Ridley Scott did with the set design, there really isn't a whole lot of focus on background stuff, you know, on any of the various scenes that we move through as the movie progresses. But I don't think that's a huge complaint, because we don't generally get that. I just would want it more in a period piece than I would in other pieces. I wouldn't have that note for Mean Girls. You know, I mean, I don't need to know what the high school in Mean Girls looks like, because I just kind of imagine high school because I went to one, you know. I feel like we all did. So we just kind of would get it, you know. However, I did not live in the time of Marcus Aurelius, and I've never been to Rome, and I've never seen a Gladiator tournament, and there are things that I've never experienced that way. So it's a little bit more noticeable in films like that, would be the thing I would throw out. But that's just me coming up with something to be able to say constructively about the audio description for this. If and when we ever do decide to ever re-record Gladiator for any reason whatsoever, should we ever at some point, perhaps I would say, let's take a look at the scenery. But yeah, I love this film. This is one of my favorite films of all time, and while it's not a comfort film because it doesn't really get you warm and fuzzy, hearing all of the memorable moments of dialogue being spouted again was great. It was that was comfort. It's oddly comforting to hear those lines actually within the context of how they're originally used, instead of how we just shout them out today. You know, this is Sparta from 300. It's so much more, it's just so much better to actually watch that scene than to just hear people say, this is Sparta, and then kick somebody down. Anyway, that's it. I'm gonna give this an A+. I probably would have given this an A+ anyway. This isn't even a film where I feel like I'm shamed. Like I have some shame for giving an A+, because it's like, this is Gladiator. It has like an 8.5 on IMDb. Like, what shame do I have? I have no shame here. IMDb loves this. Do you have any idea how hard it is for a film from 2000 to have an 8.5 on IMDb? It's really hard. It's really hard because lots of people have had the opportunity to weigh in. So if the IMDb trolls wanted to lower the film's rating, they would have, but they don't. So this has been approved by Film Twitter. Anyway, thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing, and I will continue to give you some of my favorite films of all time as we move along, so make sure you've subscribed. I also have a website, macthemovieguy.com. You can follow me on Twitter or Instagram at macthemovieguy. You can go to the audio description project, adp.acb.org. It'll let you know who what movies you can watch and where they have audio description. And you can go to the ADNA.org and it'll let you know who's narrating your favorite films and television series. That's it. That's all I got today. So, Gladiator. Yep. I bet you didn't see that coming after Treasure Planet. So, trying to keep you guys on your toes. What film will he choose next? I have favorites from all different genres, so it could be anything. Just has to have audio description. So far that hasn't been a problem for me to find some of my favorite films with audio description. Maybe by the time I get around to film number 40, it will be. Anyway, I will review something else and see you guys on the other side.